In case you missed my live stream last weekend, this is the final game from that day. It's such a good game. It's a really, really good game. You're going to enjoy it. And this is pre-patch gameplay. I have not played with the new patch yet. I was going to do a stream today where I was going to test out the patch live, but I'm still getting a little better. I was sick this week, so I figured I wouldn't stream this weekend, maybe next weekend. But anyway, since we're playing against the San Antonio Spurs, and right now the Spurs are in a little bit of NBA drama, I thought I would use this gameplay to give my thoughts on the whole situation. On Thursday, the San Antonio Spurs played the Miami Heat in Miami. It was on national television, TNT. And Greg Popovich, he shocked the world when we found out that Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and Danny Green, 4 starters, were not going to be playing in that game. And David Stern didn't like that. So what did he do? He fined the San Antonio Spurs $250,000. That is a lot of money. That is a steep fine, especially for a team like the Spurs, a small market team. That's going to hurt their pocketbooks. When the news finally broke, NBA fans, NBA analysts, celebrities, everybody was on Twitter. David Stern was trending. David Stern was getting beasted on. I think the popular opinion is that David Stern shouldn't have fined the San Antonio Spurs. It's no big deal. You know, there's no written rules that say that you can't do what Greg Popovich did. And teams do that all the time. At the end of the season, they rest their players. And most people are really just bashing David Stern. But, you know, I have to go against the popular vote and say that I think it was a good idea to fine the Spurs. And let me explain why. I've been to my fair share of NBA games, and it's an amazing experience to actually be there in the arena, watching them play live, seeing them with your own eyes, not over television broadcast. It's a great experience. If you're an NBA fan, you have to do it. You're going to love it. Now, when I've gone to games, I normally go to games against bad teams, against teams that there isn't really a big demand for. And the reason is because it's not cheap to be in the arena live. It's actually pretty expensive. And depending on the team that's playing, the prices go way up. So my hometown team is the Miami Heat. So if I go see the Miami Heat play the Charlotte Bobcats, those tickets are going to be pretty cheap compared to if I were to go see the Miami Heat play the Los Angeles Lakers or the Celtics or the Bulls or the Thunder, etc. You see that when you go to see a really good team, the prices are going to be way up. And when I go to a game, I like to get good seats. I don't want to be sitting up on the top deck. I don't want to be on the roof with binoculars. I want some good seats. I'm not saying I got to sit courtside, but I want some good lower level seats. And when I go, I normally go with friends. We go in a group of 5 to 10. So the reason why we don't go to the big games is because all my friends can't afford to pay the big money for those tickets. So just to put it into perspective, a game against a bad team, you know, we'll sit anywhere from rows maybe 15 to 30. And the ticket will be anywhere from $70 to $90. And that's against a bad team like the Bobcats. But if we were to go see a game against the Lakers, for instance, those same seats would cost $300, $400, $500 a pop. No lie. And the Spurs, they're one of the top tier teams. So if you want to go see Miami versus the Spurs, you're going to end up paying $300, $400, $500 a pop for those seats. So everybody that was in the arena on Thursday, you know that they overpaid for their seats. They paid top dollar. And then they didn't even get to see Tony Parker running around 99 speed, doing floaters. They didn't get to see Manu Ginobili popping threes, doing Euro steps. They didn't get to see Tim Duncan doing all the fundamentals. And that's what it's all about. When you go to an NBA game in person, you want to see these players in action. You want to see, if you play against the Celtics, you want to see Rondo running around, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett getting all hype. You want to see that. If you go see a Miami game, you want to see LeBron James. You don't want to go see the Miami Heat play and then LeBron James is nowhere to be found. You want to see him in person. You want to see how big he is and see how he actually walks. And it's like when you see all these players with your own eyes, it's just an unbelievable experience. And for everyone that was there on Thursday, that didn't happen. Plus, this was a game that was on national television. So people that were watching on TV, they were expecting to see a showdown, a big three versus a big three. And then they see what they saw. And it was pretty funny that the game still came down to the wire, to the fourth quarter. Somehow, some way, the San Antonio Spurs bench almost beat the Miami Heat. They almost did, but still, it's not fair to the fans, especially the people that were in the arena that night. They didn't get to see what they came for, what they paid for. It's like going to see a movie. Let's say The Dark Knight Rises. When the movie came out, you went to go see that movie expecting to see some Batman, right? And then, you pay for your ticket, you go into the movie, and then all of a sudden, it's not Batman that's on the screen. You see Spider-Man, or, you see Dustman. You see what I'm saying? You'd be like, what? You paid to go see Batman. You didn't pay to go see Dustman or Spider-Man. Now, obviously, sometimes you pay for these seats and then players aren't playing because they're injured. That makes sense. But nobody was injured. Greg Popovich was just simply resting his players. And I don't know. I think that's a new move. I totally understand that the Spurs, their schedule was crazy. They played 4 games in the last 5 days. They had back-to-backs. I understand that, but Greg Popovich could have rested them against another team. It didn't have to be against the Miami Heat. A big team like that, a big game. His star players should have been playing, I think. Greg Popovich could have gone about this a totally different way. He could have said, okay, against the Miami Heat, I'm going to rest Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan, he's the oldest player on our team. Let's rest Tim Duncan this game. Then maybe next game I'll rest Manu Ginobili. Maybe the next game Tony Parker. But to rest all of these guys in the same game, I think that was overdoing it. And that's why I don't have a problem with David Stern finding them, because it's just, I just don't like that. The spirit of the game, you heard him on TNT talking about that, the spirit of the game. I agree. It just doesn't feel right. Obviously, you want to give, your players a rest, and you don't want them to get tired, because the Spurs, they're an old team, okay? They need a rest, but to rest them all at once, that's a new move, in my opinion. I actually didn't get to see that game. I missed it, and I was also sick too, but, so I'm not sure if Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, Ginobili, I'm not sure if they were actually even in the arena. I think they might have been at home. And that's another thing that's strange. Like, wow, they weren't even there. Like, another thing they could have done is maybe, Greg Popovich could have started them, played them in the first quarter, and then around the 8-minute mark, or the 4-minute mark in the first quarter, he could have subbed those guys out and then never brought them back in the game. I think maybe if you would have done that, I don't think David Stern then would have fined them, because sometimes Greg Popovich does that. Sometimes they're playing on the road and they're losing the game, and then Greg Popovich will just sub out his guys and just basically forfeit the game, but I don't know. You see, there's so many different ways that he could have gone about this. And look at that alley-oop. That is my first alley-oop ever, slamming it down. I didn't even call for it there. I was just running, cutting back door. I was trying to set a screen because the play was to set a screen. That is beautiful. I got to put that in a montage if I drop one this year. Last but not least, it's not fair what Greg Popovich did to all the advertisers, because, commercials and TV stations and They're all paying top dollar to put their ads up during these big games on national television. And then, the ratings for the game weren't as high when people found out that, Tony Parker, Ginobili, Duncan, they weren't even playing. Now, the game was close, which is pretty funny. So it still was a pretty entertaining game, but it wasn't the same. And, there was no warning. It wasn't like in advance Greg Popovich said, hey, we're going to sit these guys out. He just kind of did it right at the moment, and everyone was expecting the big three of the Spurs to go up against the big three of the Miami Heat. So let me know what you think after hearing my argument. It's okay if you don't agree with me. You can debunk it. You can diss it in the comments section. That's just my thoughts on the whole situation. And now I'm just going to use the rest of this video to talk about me streaming and making more videos. So obviously this is the last video of me playing without the patch. So going forward, I will have all my gameplays will be, me playing with the new patch and seeing if it actually works. Because I talked to Luke, and Luke said he didn't notice anything different. So I don't know if Luke is trolling or, oh, look at me getting Tim Duncan right there. Oh, I missed that. That could have been in the montage. So this is the third and last video taken directly from my live stream. It's not in 1080p, it's in 720p. But these last 3 games, the video quality should be much better than my earlier 2K streams because I upgraded my equipment. I got something that's made for streaming. So everything like frame rate, quality is going to be much better. Now I'm just waiting on the internet to get better. Look at that floater. Because with Comcast, I can't stream at a high bit rate. I don't want to get too computerish, too technical, but even though Comcast says that I have a 10 MB upload connection, it's a lie. Because on speed test, it'll say I have 10, 11, 12 MB. But if I go to try to stream at, let's say, only 5 MB, like half of that, it can't handle it. So eventually my streams are going to be top quality.
You were really showcasing your passing skills out there tonight, setting the team record for assists. Did you even realize what you were doing as the game unfolded?
It's nice to get acknowledgement for a record like this, but it wasn't something I was thinking about during the game. Some guys like to check their stat line after each quarter, but I try not to think about that stuff until after the game, It's too easy to get carried away with chasing certain numbers, and I just wanted to help my team win the game.